Hello, my dears. Come in. Sit down. Don't mind the mess. When you get to be my age, dusting becomes less important than remembering. I've been thinking a lot lately about time, about truth. They say the truth sets you free, but I don't know if that's always right. Sometimes the truth burns. Sometimes the truth destroys the things we built to survive. You all know me as Grandma Elsie. You know me as the woman who makes the best apple pie in the county. You know me as the woman who was married to your grandfather, Bill, for 52 wonderful years. You look at the photos on the mantelpiece, me and Bill at the lake, me and Bill at your weddings, and you see a perfect life, a simple American life. But I have a confession to make, and I need to make it now, while I still have the breath to say the words. I can't take this with me. It's too heavy. Your grandfather? He was a good man. He was a kind man. He gave me a home when I had nothing. He gave me safety. He gave me all of you. But he was not the love of my life. I know. I know that hurts to hear. I can see you wincing. But please don't judge me yet. You have to understand the world I came from. You have to understand that before I was Grandma, I was a girl named Alara, and I lived in a world that was on fire. To tell you this story, I have to take you back. Not to Ohio, not to the suburbs. I have to take you back to 1945, to a small, broken village on the border of Germany. You learn about the war in your history books. You see the maps with the red arrows and the blue arrows. You see the black and white footage of soldiers marching. But the books don't tell you about the smell. That's what I remember most. The smell of wet ash. It was everywhere. It was in our clothes, in our hair, in the thin, watery soup we ate. I was 19 years old. My father was gone. Lost on the Eastern Front years before. My mother had died of pneumonia the winter prior. I was alone in our farmhouse, which was really just half a farmhouse. I was terrified. We had been told terrible stories about the Americans. They told us the Americans were monsters. I spent most of my days hiding in the cellar. It was cold, damp, and smelled of rotting potatoes. I told myself that if a soldier came down those stairs, I would fight. One evening, the shelling stopped. The silence was worse than the noise. Silence meant they were here. I heard the crunch of heavy boots on the gravel above. I heard voices, not German, English, sharp, loud, commanding voices. My heart was hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. The boots came down the stairs. Thump, thump, thump. A beam of light cut through the darkness. It hit me. I raised the kitchen knife I was clutching. I screamed at him in German. He didn't shoot. Any other soldier, maybe they would have, but he didn't shoot. He lowered the rifle. He lowered the light. And I saw his face. He was young, maybe 21. His face was smeared with dirt and grease, but his eyes, he had the bluest eyes I had ever seen. They weren't filled with hate. They were filled with exhaustion and pity. He reached into his pocket. I flinched, thinking he was reaching for a grenade. But he pulled out a chocolate bar. He tossed it gently onto the dirt floor between us. I hadn't seen chocolate in 3 years. I ate it in 2 bites. It tasted like heaven. That was how I met Thomas. He was an American soldier. He let me stay in the cellar. Over the next week, he kept coming down. At first, it was just to bring food. Then he started bringing a blanket. We couldn't speak. I knew no English. He knew no German. So we spoke with our hands. We spoke with drawings in the dirt. He pointed to himself. Thomas, Pennsylvania. I pointed to myself. Elara. It is strange how quickly hate dissolves when you look someone in the eye. I was supposed to hate him. He was the invader, but he wasn't an army. He was a boy who missed his mother. One night, the shelling started again nearby. I was crying, huddled in the corner. Thomas came down. He didn't bring food this time. He sat next to me on the cold floor. He wrapped his heavy wool coat around both of us. He just held me while I shook. He hummed a melody, a slow, sad song. In the middle of that war, in the dark, amidst the ruin of everything I knew, I fell in love with him, and he fell in love with me. It was a quiet love, a desperate love. We knew it was forbidden. If his commanding officer found out he was harboring a German girl, he would be court-martialed. We existed in the shadows. He promised me, using a mix of broken words and hand signals, that when the war was officially over, he would take me to Pennsylvania. He drew a picture of a house with a big porch. He pointed to me, then him, then the house. He gave me something. This lighter. He etched his initials into it. TJC, Thomas James Callahan. He put it in my hand and closed my fingers over it. Promise, he said. I come back. Then the orders came. The unit was moving out. The morning he left was gray and rainy. He couldn't hug me goodbye. He stood by the Jeep. He looked at the farmhouse window where he knew I was watching. He tapped his chest right over his heart, and then he got in the truck and drove away into the mist. I held that lighter until my hand went numb. I waited. The war ended 3 weeks later. Months passed. The leaves turned brown. The snow came. I went to the Red Cross station every week. I wrote letters. I addressed them to Thomas Callahan, Pennsylvania, USA. I knew it wasn't enough of an address. I was starving again. The post-war famine was terrible. I was alone. I had no family. And then I met Bill. Bill was an American mechanic working on the reconstruction efforts. He wasn't Thomas, but he was kind. He offered me a job in the mess hall. Then he offered me dinner. Then he offered me a way out. He asked me to marry him. He said he could take me to America. I looked at Bill, and I saw safety. I saw a future where I wasn't cold. I saw a father for the children I wanted to have. I convinced myself Thomas was dead. I told myself he must have died on the road to Berlin. If he were alive, he would have come back. I said yes to Bill. I became a war bride. I got on the boat. I came to America. I became Elsie. I loved Bill. We built a good life. But a part of me, the part that belonged to Elara, stayed in that cellar in Germany. Now here is the part of the story that haunts me. Your grandfather Bill died 10 years ago. About a year after he passed, I was cleaning out the attic. I found Bill's old army footlocker. I pried it open. Inside, I found his uniform, his medals, and at the bottom, I found a bundle of letters. Letters with German stamps. Letters addressed to me, and they were opened. Bill had intercepted them. I don't know how. Maybe he worked in the mailroom for a time? I sat on the dusty attic floor and I read them. They were from Thomas. He hadn't died. He had been severely injured. He spent a year in a hospital in France, unable to speak, unable to walk. But he wrote. As soon as he could hold a pen, he wrote, Elara, I am coming. Elara, don't give up. Alara, I have the house with the porch. And then the last letter, dated 1949. This one broke me. It said, Dearest Alara, I came back. I went to the village. The neighbors told me you married an American. I saw the wedding notice in the local paper archives. You looked beautiful. I am happy you are safe. That is all I ever wanted, to know you were safe. I will not look for you. You have a new life now. I will not ruin it. But know that I loved you every day since the cellar, and I will love you until I die. Yours, Thomas. I sat in that attic and I screamed. I wanted to go to Bill's grave and spit on it. He had stolen my choice. He knew Thomas was alive. He hid the letters because he wanted me for himself. But then, the anger faded into something else. Just deep, hollow sadness. Because Bill did it out of love. A selfish, desperate love, but love nonetheless. And I realized something else. I had lived a happy life. I had wonderful children. I had you, my grandchildren. If I had received those letters, if I had gone to Thomas, none of you would exist. You, your smiles, your lives, none of it would be here. So, what did I do? I hired a private investigator 5 years ago. I needed to know, was he still alive? The investigator found him in 2 days. Thomas James Callahan. He was living in a nursing home in Pennsylvania, just 3 hours away. I didn't tell anyone. I drove myself. I walked into that nursing home. I found him sitting in a wheelchair by the window. He was old, but when he turned his head, those same piercing blue eyes. He whispered, Ilara? I walked over to him. I took his hand. I reached into my purse and I pulled out this lighter. I placed it in his palm. He looked at it. Then he looked at me. Tears ran down his wrinkled cheeks. You kept it, he whispered. We didn't say much. We didn't need to. I sat with him for 3 hours. He just held hands. I told him about you. I showed him pictures of my grandchildren. He smiled. He touched your faces in the photos. Good, he said. You did good, Alara. When I left, I kissed him on the forehead. I said, I love you, Thomas. He squeezed my hand. I'll see you soon, kid. He died 3 weeks later. I went to the funeral. I was just an old woman, crying for a stranger. I am telling you this because I don't want you to think life is simple. It's not. You can love 2 people. You can be happy in a life that wasn't your first choice. You can forgive a husband who lied to you, because that lie gave you a family. I don't regret marrying Bill. I don't, because I have all of you. But I also don't regret loving Thomas. There's a piece of my heart that belongs to a snowy winter in Germany. A piece of my heart that belongs to the man who didn't shoot. My darlings, if you love someone, tell them. If you have a letter you haven't sent, send it. If you are holding a grudge, let it go. Time is the only thing you cannot buy more of. When I die, bury me next to Bill. He was my husband. But please, put this lighter in the casket with me. Bill had me for 50 years. I think it's only fair that Thomas gets to hold my hand in the next life. I love you all so much. Now, who wants a slice of apple pie? The tea is getting cold.